One person who I've always, even since childhood, that I've always found myself just almost mesmerized by, drawn to in many ways, has been Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Even as a child, can't tell you why, I was always drawn to him. He lived before I was born. Obviously, I was not alive when he lived. But when I've learned about him, when I listened to his speeches and hear about things he did and said, and it just deeply moves me and stirs something in me. And that's always been the case. Well, a few years ago when I was doing some inner work and really getting conscious about the things I'm talking to you about today, about recognizing who inspires you, I started to really focus on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and realize and get curious about why he inspires me and how that may translate to me in my life. Obviously, very different context, but what that means for my work in the world and who I'm here to be, right? And it was right around that same time, and this, you cannot make this up, I kid you not. I got an email, random email from somebody I didn't know. Now, the person who sent me this email was an older gentleman by the name of Dr. Virgil Wood. Dr. Virgil Wood. I'd never heard of Dr. Virgil Wood, but when I opened the email, I recognized the title of, or the subject of the email was something about your book, Living for a Living. And I wrote a book, as I mentioned earlier. It's called Living for a Living. This is the book, Living for a Living. I wrote it. It was published in 2019, so been out for a few years now. But this person, Dr. Virgil Wood, he found my book and he read it. And from time to time, I will get correspondence from folks who read my book, and they'll tell me what they think of it and how it's impacted them or spoke to them and that kind of thing. And so he was somebody who read my book, and he said, let me explain to you who I am. And he told me who he was. It turns out Dr. Virgil Wood was an older gentleman. I think he was in his 90s at that time, late 80s or early 90s. And he told me that about his work in the civil rights movement. Turns out, I did research on the guy, turns out that he was not just involved in the civil rights movement, he was a pioneer of it. He was a close confidant of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They walked side by side and worked together. He knew the family. He was very close with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and also his father, Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. And Dr. Virgil Wood was instrumental in the civil rights movement, getting it off the ground and assisting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and did a lot of amazing work in his life. He ended up retiring in Texas, and he told me, he said, after Dr. King was assassinated, this was his thoughts. He told me that he felt that a lot of his heart towards the economy and about money and about helping people become empowered to live according to their deepest dreams and passions. This was a huge part of his message. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote about this and talked about it. He called it the beloved economy. That was his term for it. But he said, that message largely got lost after his death and got, kind of politicized and watered down. And he feels like that message was kind of missing for many years. And he said, but when I read your book, Living for a Living, which I can't even believe what I'm hearing. He said, when I read your book, Living for a Living, he said, it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s spirit that was coming through your book. It was his heart. It was literally what I witnessed in him. He embodied it. And I haven't seen it since until I picked up your book. And it just so moved me that there is a new generation of people that are talking about the things that were passionate to him. I just couldn't believe it. Not in a million years would I ever expect it. It just so deeply moved me to get that email. And he wanted to talk to me. He gave me his phone number, personal phone number. This is a living legend in our nation's history. And he gave me his phone number and he said, I'd love to talk to you. Can we set up a call? And we did. We set up a phone call and I talked with him by phone, and just the energy and blessing that just was imparted to me through even just talking. We talked a couple of times on the phone, and we actually wanted to meet. He was retired and living in Texas, outside of Dallas at the time. And we tried to arrange a meeting, but unfortunately we weren't able to make that happen, and then he passed away. But I think the whole point was just getting that email and recognizing, and that's some emails you save, that's one that will go to my grave with me, because it helped me realize who I am. No, I'm not Martin Luther King Jr. That's not who I am, right? He lived a very different life than I'm living. But that dimension of him that I was always drawn to, that is alive and well in me, and that is going to inform my life and my future in the work that I'm doing.